Today I'm sitting down with Sophia Marshall, one of the vice president candidates for SGA elections. Sophia, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
So we're going to start off just talking about your experience in SGA so far. So to start off, what first made you want to join SGA and go out for it?
Yeah, so this is actually a funny story. My orientation leader was Joe Yasso, who's of course Mr. SGA. And so I literally was sitting in orientation. I was like, Joe, I'm going to be the president of my class. And he was like, Sophia, like, okay. But I got to welcome weekend and I saw Ryan Lynch, who was the president at the time, speaking. And I kind of like went to the girl next to me. I was like, I want to do that someday. And it kind of started from there. So I pulled papers and I campaigned to everybody, and then there was this like fun moment where I almost had the amount of signatures that I needed, and I had like these breakaway pants on with shorts underneath, obviously. And so I was almost 300, and I got this like group of people around me, and they were like 3, 2, 1, and I like pulled off the breakaway pants, and there was this thing, and that's the story.
That's amazing.
So I won and been the president of my class for the past 2 years, and that's where it started.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
So you've had a lot of experience, especially being the president of your class the last 2 years. How would you say that experience has really brought you to want to maybe pursue this bigger, larger role, and how does it like prepare you for that?
Yeah, definitely. So I think chairing 2 committees in the past couple of years, obviously being president, has helped me a lot. I think coming in especially, people are like, just be ready for a little bit of backlash from your cabinet, because a lot of people obviously were going for the same position. So I came in and I definitely, first of all, my cabinet was amazing, it still is. So I was very lucky there, but I think coming in, I kind of established this community that ended up being really, really great. And then I kind of have pushed through with that and continued that culture through the past 2 years. And I love being a leader. I love spearheading things, and I love seeing direct impacts of my work within the community. So I think that's definitely most of it. But I think that this has always kind of been the natural progression for me in mind, and I think that I love the idea of making substantial change for this community because I genuinely love Quinnipiac so much, and so it's kind of always been the idea. So
a large part of how you all make change throughout the community as a member of SGA is you guys spearhead these initiatives.
Yes.
Can you talk about some of the initiatives that you've spearheaded and kind of seen through during your time in SGA so far?
Yeah, definitely. So I try to work on things not that I want to work on, but that I think a great amount of people on this campus are affected by, specifically Maine right now, because I have been the president of the freshman, now the sophomore class. So I do a lot with free laundry. It's something that I've been working on for over a year now. And when I started, people were like, oh, like, no, it's not going to happen. But I've been slightly annoying with John Mariano, not in a bad way. But it's something I'm very, very passionate about, and something that I know a lot of people are passionate about. I've gotten the opportunity to talk to a lot of people over the past week, and they've kind of been super excited, but not kind of very excited when I've talked to them about it, and they're like, yeah, that's great. So like hearing that positive reaffirmation kind of pushes me to keep going. I also do a lot with KU Dining, once again, a hot button topic. I did a lot with them last year. I got, my first little win was a yogurt bar in the Rat, which was exciting. But like moving forward now, we don't get to do that through SGA now, so I do it out of SGA unofficially. And so most recently we got the Poke Bowls in the upper calf, which was exciting for a lot of people. And then we're also getting acai bowls before the end of the semester, which is a good win as well. I've also done a lot of work with health and wellness. I now sit on the committee that kind of talks about health and wellness broadly, but most recently I got to sit down with Megan Buddha and Courtney McKenna and Kevin Parker to kind of discuss the alcohol policy and how students go through conduct regarding that, so that was really exciting. But yeah, I've kind of just tried to hit a lot of the hot button topics that kind of affect a lot of our students.
So when these initiatives, they got passed, you
Yes.
saw them through, how do you think they've really affected the Quinnipiac community?
Yeah, I mean, obviously laundry is like one of my biggest ones and is still very much in progress, but we have seen marked progress, which is very exciting. But just in terms of like some of the quick wins I've gotten with like KU Dining, like when I've told people are like, oh my God, I love that. And I also do a lot with, specifically with KU Dining as well, like a lot with the gluten-free options and vegetarian options, which I know is for some people on this campus, they can't eat, which isn't acceptable. So I know the things that maybe a lot of the students aren't seeing, but that I see and the people who they're drastically affected by are seeing, those things are very apparent to them, and that's really what matters to me. So I have satisfaction knowing that even if I helped a small portion of people, those people were drastically affected by it. So.
Fast forward to Wednesday night.
Yes.
And say you get elected for vice president. What are some changes or things that you're looking to implement right off the bat?
Okay, so right off the bat, I think the way that I kind of look at my platform, my campaign is in 3 different areas. So first, what we know and how we can fix it. So for example, we know shuttles aren't the best. We know that dining could be better. We know that parking isn't ideal. We know that laundry should really essentially be free. So first, I want to kind of come up with a team that can kind of work on those hot button topics that students genuinely care about, despite them not being able to have made change in the past. But I want to look at those things and say, how can we look at these things differently to maybe improve them a little more and see what we can do maybe from a different angle or a different respect to kind of improve those, even if it's slightly. Maybe we'll have a huge breakthrough and make some marked change that'll really affect the community. And then secondly, what we don't know and how we're going to fix it. So I think a lot of people have really great ideas, but as SGA, we don't go out and get them. So for me, I think, once again, get my team together, and once a month, we typically have closed student advisory committee meetings, which is the committee I'll chair. And I want to do once a month, have that committee go out into the community and say, hey, what can we do to help you? What is something that you maybe see a lot in your day-to-day life, but not the rest of the community? Like, for example, I was talking to a couple of gaming students the other day, and they were like, hey, we have this really ugly, unfortunate sign at our door, and it really frustrates us and kind of makes us feel less legitimate. Can you fix that? And I was like, wow, I never would have, even thought about that unless I actually came and talked to you. So little things like that. And then third, what more can we do? So typically my role is more internal, and I want to kind of make that more external, because I think that everybody in SGA should kind of have a role in student advocacy and actually talking to students. So that's one thing I want to do in terms of taking my role to new heights. And the other thing is, a lot of schools have an external affairs committee that they have, and it's actually very successful, that kind of works with local politicians to enact change on a higher scale level. So what I want to do in my position is even if it's on a personal level, because obviously that's a big jump for 1 year, but I really want to work a lot more with local and state politicians to kind of push stuff that will genuinely and significantly affect our campus, so that maybe we can push stuff internally a little more.
That all sounds like great plans,
Thank
Sophia.
you. I appreciate that.
And why do you think overall you're the best candidate for this position?
I think I'm very persistent. I think that, especially with laundry, it was something that I don't really take no for an answer. It's something that I've pushed, and really even the first meeting, John was like, it's not going to work, and I was like, okay, I'm going to come back with data and we're going to meet again. And then he was like, oh, okay, let's look at this and this and this. And then the third meeting, he was like, oh, wait, let's look at this. And we've made progress in that respect. I think that I also have significant experience, as we've talked about. And I think that I genuinely care, and I'm very passionate about this stuff. I, for example, have gotten, not including my elections, suggestions, and not including my cabinet's meet and greet suggestions, I've received 269 suggestions in the past month from students, whether that be through Instagram polls, whether that be through face-to-face interactions. I also think that I have really good ties with administration, which obviously isn't the most important thing, but I think it is important when you're trying to meet with those administrators that may not respond to emails as easily, or are less willing to listen to students. I think, for example, I've sat in unofficial, not SGA-related meetings with Monique Drucker, President Olean, and I just think that I'm ready to go. I have a lot of ideas, but I'm also willing to listen to students' ideas. So I have this baseline plan, but if students say, hey, this isn't what we want, then I will be there to listen to that and kind of make change with them as a partner.
Well, Sophia, thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thanks so much for having me.
And good luck Wednesday.
Thank you.
Polls open at 8 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Make sure to vote on Do You QU. To follow along with all of Q30's SGA election coverage, make sure to go to q30tv.com/debates2019.